Ayin, Amid Aleph, 97. Masechta Shabbos. So Rabbi Akiva learned Gzeira Shava from Vayuvnei Israel Bamidbar, Vayimtzeu Ish Mekoshesh Eim. And then when the Benos Slovchad come to Moshe, they say Avinu made Bamidbar. So Rabbi Akiva learned Gzeira Shava Bamidbar to say that the person who was the Mekoshesh Eitzim was Slovchad. And then Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira took him to task and said, I don't understand what you're doing, Rabbi Akiva. The Torah kept his name silent and you revealed him. That's number one. And if it's not him, then you're saying Lashon Hara about an innocent person. So the Gemara says, yeah, what is Rabbi Akiva supposed to do? Gomer Gzeira Shava. But he learned Gzeira Shava. And therefore, the Torah did not hide him because Gzeira Shava is one of the midos shatoras nidreshes behen. So if it's going to have a Gzeira Shava, we know the Torah is revealing that it's Slavchad. It's as if it was written Slavchad. So Gemara says, Gzeira Shava loy gomar. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira did not learn this. And Ein Adam says Rashi dan Gzeira Shava ma'atzmo. Tosfos says, so Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira didn't have the Gzeira Shava, but let him learn it from Rabbi Akiva, who had the Gzeira Shava, who must have learned it from his Rebbe. Oimer Rabbeinu Tam, Sha'aylahem beKabbalah minyan Gzeira Shava shebechol Torah. There was not like 327 Gzeira Shavas, and no more. So he didn't accept it because in his minyan of the how many Gzeira Shavas there's supposed to be, he didn't include this one. Okay. So for Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, mehecha hava. So why did Slavchad die? If he didn't die as the Mekoshesh, why did the Bnot Slavchad say Avinu meis b'midbar? The answer is the Gemara mi v'yapilu hava. Remember, after the Chet HaMeraglim, it says Vayapilu lalot el Rosh Ahar. They were the Mapilim. They wanted to go up to Eretz Yisrael anyways, even though Hashem said, I'm not going to protect you. And they were wiped out. So he was from the Mapilim, which makes sense because the Bnot Slavchad obviously were very also strong Zionists, right? They came to demand a portion of Eretz Yisrael for themselves. So they must have learned their Zionism from their father, who was one of the Mapilim. There's a similar story when Aaron and Miriam confront Moshe and say, look, we didn't divorce our spouses. Why are you divorcing? Why did you divorce Tzipporah? They didn't understand the level of nevuah that Moshe Rabbeinu had, panim el panim. So remember that. So there was like Lashon Hara there about Moshe. So it says, the pasuk says, "Vayichar af Hashem bam vayelach." Bam is plural. It didn't say Vayichar af Hashem ba, referring only to Miriam. It said bam, which refers to both of them. Melamed sha'af Aaron nitztara. Di Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says Aaron also got saras just like Miriam. Again, the same dialogue. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Akiva. With your statement, Rabbi Akiva, you're going to have to ask forgiveness in the future.
But Bnei Yisrael didn't wait for Aaron; they waited for Miriam.
So hang on. Hang on, we'll see what happened to Aaron here. Hang on. So im kidvarecha. So if you're correct that Aaron did get saras, haTorah kistov atamegaloto. The Torah certainly didn't come out in a very plain language to tell us that. So the Torah obviously wanted to hide that fact from us, and you're revealing it. And the imlavin, if it's not even true, atamotzi lazaloso tzadik. You're telling a whole nonsense story about the Aaron. Ella haksiv bum. Okay, but so what does Rabbi Yosef say about the pasuk that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was angry with both of them? So that means he was just upset with Aaron, not to the level we gave him saras. Now, however, Tanya Commander Omer Af Aaron Nitztara. There is a baraisa like Rabbi Akiva that Enochanami Aaron did get saras. Tichsiv Vayifen Aaron el Miriam v'name it saras. It says Aaron turned to Miriam, and behold, she had saras. The drasha there is Tana Shapana Mitzaraso. He got already healed from his saras, and when he turned to Miriam, he already had been healed, which seems clear proof, according to this baraisa, that Aaron had saras as well. So to answer Peter's question,
but how do you learn? Excuse me. How do you learn from here that he had it? Where's the proof that he had it?
Because the Mishnah says shepana mitzaraso, that when it says vayifen, Aaron turned. So the Mishnah darshans ship. Where did he turn from? He turned from his saras. He got healed from his saras.
You can also say he turned from looking one way, he looked the other way.
That's not how the Torah Shabbat Peh learns. Rashi says Shapana mitzaraso kadam v'nisrapeh. Before he turned to Miriam, he turned to her from a position of being healed. So if he had to be healed, it was obviously he had saras. So that's the baraisa in support of Rabbi Akiva. And that answers Peter in that Klal Yisrael didn't have to wait for Aaron because he had healed already. They had to wait for Miriam. Her healing took longer. Amrish Lakish. If a person suspects somebody, and it's not correct to suspect somebody, the guy's really a tzaddik, and you suspect that he's not, the punishment will be, you will get some kind of physical ailment. Dichsiv. At the burning bush, Moshe Rabbeinu told Hashem, Vehain lo yaminu li. He said, Klal Yisrael is not going to believe me. But the Gal Yikamei Kutchabrichu D'Mem Yisrael. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew that Klal Yisrael were maminim. Omer lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe, Hein maminim b'nei maminim. They are believers, the son of believers. The Atah, because of this lack of emunah, you were choshid b'ksherim, ein sof chalamin. You're going to end up also not believing. Hein maminim d'chsiv vayamein ha'am. Later on in the story, when Moshe comes to meet it's Mitzrayim, and he tells them everything that Hashem wanted to tell him, the pasuk says they believe. B'nei maminim, because Avram Avinu, it says ve'amin b'Hashem. He believed. But ata ein sof chala. I mean, shenemar, by the Mei Meriva, when Aaron and when Moshe and Aaron were told to speak to the rock, and they hit the rock, and then they were punished. But it says Yan lo emantem bi. So he ended up not having emunah. Mimai delaka. And where do you see that Moshe Rabbeinu was struck with physical ailment? Right? Moshe Rabbeinu was told, put your arm into your shirt and then take it out again. And when he took it out, it was leprous. Mida tova memaheres lavam midas puranos. a good thing comes quicker than a bad thing. The ilu b'midas parana ksiv vaya v'hinei yado mitzaras kashalek. He put his hand in, and then when he took it out, it took that period of time, before it turned saras. The ilu b'midah tova, when he got healed from it, it's already, while his hand was still inside the shirt, it got healed. It didn't wait until he had to pull his hand out before it got healed. It got healed even before he pulled it out. So that's an example of midah tova memaheres lovo memidas puranos. Vayivla mate Aaron es matosam. By the mate, when they went to do some of the miracles in front of Paro, it says that Aaron's staff swallowed their matos. Because Aaron's staff swallowed their snakes. Not Aaron's snake swallowed it. It was swallowed, it was a nace that they turned into snakes, and it was a nace betoch nace that the mate of Aaron swallowed their snakes. Then the Mishnah said that there was a machlokas Rabbi Akiva Chachamim. If there were a Reshus HaYachid on one side of Reshus HaRabim, Reshus HaYachid on the other side, and you threw something from one Reshus HaYachid to the other Reshus HaYachid, so Rabbi Akiva said you're chayiv, and the Rabbanon said, the Chachamim said you were potter. Boy, Rava said like this: Lemata masar pligi. They're arguing when they throw below 10 tfachim. Uvaha pligi. The Marsavar Amin and Kluta Kamashahun Chadami. There's a concept of Kluta. Kluta means while this ball is traveling in the airspace, we view it as if it's being pulled down to the ground. It's almost like like calculus. Like instantaneously, every moment as the ball is moving, we drop it down, like to make a little bar, as if it came to rest in the Reshus HaRabim. So Rabbi Akiva holds Kluta. And that's why he says if you throw from a Reshus HaYachid to another Reshus HaYachid, derech Reshus HaRabim, if you invoke Kluta, you transferred from the Reshus HaYachid to Reshus HaRabim, which makes you chayiv. Umar Savar Lo Amin and Kluta Kimashahuncha. And the Chachamim do not hold of Kluta. That's why they say you're potter. But that machlokas is only within 10 tfachim of the ground, because nobody will hold Kluta higher than that. Avalamala Masra Direk Kol Potter. But above 10 tfachim from the ground, so there is no Reshus HaRabim. The Reshus HaRabim only extends from the ground up to 10 tfachim. Above 10 tfachim is a Mokum P'tur. So that's why everybody holds you'd be potter. And in order to say potter, because lo yalfinan zorek mimoshi, throwing something is different than handing over a stick. That's called moshit. Now the Leviim in the Mishkan did the avoda of moshit. They handed the boards of the Mishkan from one wagon to another. And each wagon was a Reshus HaYachid. And the wagons were more than 10 tfachim. So Hoshata did occur above 10 tfachim. So the question is, though, do you learn the act of Zrika from Moshe? So if we don't, then we would say there's no mlacha because you're above 10 tfachim. O Dilma, so that's Rava's question. Do we learn like that? O Dilma, perhaps, Lamala Masar Pligi. The machlokas between Rabbi Akiva and the Chachamim is Lamala. What's the machlokas Toloi? Uva Pligi, the Marsavar, Yalfinan Zark Mimoshe. According to Rabbi Akiva, we learn Zrika from Moshe. And since the act of Zrika took place above 10 Fachim, and that's the malacha, and you would be chayav for Moshe, We learn Zrika from that as well. Umar, so the Chachamim learn Lo Yofin and Zork Mimoishi. Avalamata Masar de Bekol Chayiv. My time included Kamashon Chodami. According to this version, the Machlokas is only above 10 Tvachim, but within 10 Tvachim, everybody would agree with Chayiv. Why? Because everybody holds of the principle of Kluta. So that's his theoretical question. Boy Rava. Rav Yosef, Hamilsa Iboy Rav Chizda. This issue was also a problem for Rav Chizda, who didn't know the answer. But Upshata Nile Rav Amnuna Meho. Rav Amnuna resolved it from the following case. It says, if you transfer from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaYachid and you traverse through Rishus HaRabim itself, Rabbi Kiva Machayev, the Chachamim Poitri. Same. It seems like it's the same machlokas. Now, Midikomer Rishus HaRabim Atzma. That's a strange phraseology. When you say Rishus Pshita Lamata Masar Pligi. Usually the dimension of the Rishus HaRabim is from the ground to 10 Tvachim. So the Gemara wants to learn that when that statement said B'Rishus HaRabim Atzma, it means Lamata Masara. And Uvamai, what case are we talking about? You're just transferring something or carrying something. Havara means I'm actually walking out with a book and walking for that's Havara. So I don't understand. Lamata Masara de Machayev, Lamala Masara lo Machayev? Would you not be chayiv above? If you're carrying something on your head, for example, and lamala masar you're chayiv. Shekain masa b'nei kahat. That's the way b'nei kahat carried things. That's avara. So it must be what they're talking about as elalav v'zorek. And ulamata masar de machayiv. And the chiyuv here is lamata masar, lamala masar lo machayiv. Shma mina bekluta k'mishayin chap. They are arguing in Kluta. It's not a Chula Alma holds Kluta. No, they're arguing in Kluta. Rabbi Kiva holds Kluta, and that's why there's a Chiyuv. And the Chacham hold there's no Kluta, that's why it's a Ptur. Shma Mina, from Rav Amnuna, it seems like you've got a good proof. However, that Upligid Rabbi Lazar, the Amoy Rabbi Lazar doesn't hold like that. Rabbi Lazar. Mechayev Rabbi Kiva fil malam asar. That Rabbi Kiva said even Lamala Masar was also chayiv. To show you how far they're lenient, that they pater even in the Rosh Hashanah, they don't hold kluta there. So that's clearly not the way Rav Amnuna lives. And upligid Rav Chilki bar Tuvi. It's also not the way Rav Chilki learns. Not Rav Chilki bar Tuvi. He gives you the following Gedor. From the ground up to 3 tfachim, tok shlosha divrei kol chai. Let's say you throw something, even if it didn't come to rest. There, everybody holds that even something that's moving, we use the principle of kluta and bring it down to the ground because of the concept of lavud, right? We're going to see anything within 3 tfachim is you could just draw it down to the ground. So if you throw something, Dal Damis or from one Rishus HaYachid to another Rishus HaYachid, derech the Rishus HaRabim, if you did it within 3 tvachim on the ground, everybody will be chai. L'mala masora divrei kol poter, because we said l'mala masora, we don't learn zorek mi moishit, and therefore if you don't learn zorek mi moishit, you're chayiv if it's above 10, but not zorek. Therefore, there's a makom ptur. Anything above 10 tvachim is not the Rishus HaRabim. From 3 to 10, that's the machlokes Rabbi Kiva Rabban. Whether you hold kluta, everyone holds kluta from 3 tfachim to the ground. The machlokes whether kluta operates 3 to 10. And Tanya Namahachi, there's a brayso to support the way Rav Chilkiah learned. B'toch shlosha divrei kol chayiv, which, like we said, because of kluta, l'malam asora eno ela mishum shvus. It's really mikra din, it's potter, but there's a shvus shezorek mishum shvus chaveiro. For example, if I throw from one Rishus HaYachid across Olympic, let's call Olympic a Rishus HaRabim, and it lands into my friends, so we're going to see that to transfer from one Rishus HaYachid to another Rishus HaYachid, technically Minat Torah is permitted. But the Chachamim Aser, without an Eruv, to go from my house, let's say, to Peter's house if it lived right next door to me. And I can't go, or like when you live in an apartment house, you can't go from one apartment to another apartment unless all the Jews in that apartment house have contributed $1. You buy a box of matzahs, you put it in one of the, and you have to rent schiras from the goyim that are in that apartment. Otherwise, you cannot carry in an apartment house from one apartment to another, or from the apartment into the courtyard. It's a Rishus HaYachid, because the Chachamim made a gzeira. If I go from my Rishus HaYachid to somebody else's Rishus HaYachid, I'm not going to, since I'm going to somebody else's apartment, I think I can carry to Rishus HaRabim. That's basically what we're going to learn in Eruvin. That's the reason. So that's what Rashi is bavorning here. Mishum Shvus. That means throwing from a Rishus HaYachid above 10 Tvachim across Olympic Boulevard. So there's no kluta, and it landed in another Rishus HaYachid. Technically, it's mutter. But he says they were goizer. V'lav mishum hefsek Rishus HaRabim, du adinami im aiset slo atshi arvenu. We're going to see, though, if you own the house on both sides of the street, and I throw it into my house, then that's completely permitted. So the malam asra eno ela mishum shvus, right? Vim hayi rishus shalom mutter. If they're his, then it's mutter lechatchila. Like, because of the reason we just explained, there's no gzeira there. It's only gzeira if it's somebody else's property. So we know the din below 3. We know the din above 3, 10. The Shulchan Aruch says, Shnei batim b'shnei tzidei Rishus HaRabim, mutar lizrok ben shnei batim b'shnei tzidei Rishus HaRabim, im hayu shayachim lo adam echad, o she'asu eruv b'neihem. There was an eruv between the two houses you could do it. V'hu shahayu shnei batim shavim b'gaveim, as long as they're the same height. And then the Rambam says, Hazork b'shus hayoch, b'shus hayoch, b'shus harabim be'emtza, b'tok shlosha tvachim lakarka, imnach l'rega al gabi mashu, if it landed on something, even for a moment, af shechoz v'nekar echad kach, somebody kicked it away, chayev. Kach das a Rambam. She'af tok shlosha tzarech hanoch al gabi mashu, because l'das chachovim, she'alocha kamoisim v'ilu, because they don't know. The ilu haramban Rabbeinu Chanan al poiskim gam tok shlosha aplonoch nefshav kamunach shodatem choylek Rav Chilkel bar Tuvi al Rav Valocha kamoso, because they hold of kluta mishlosha tvach but asor zark potter, like the Chachamim, not like Rabbi Akiva. U'l'malam asora, it's just a shvus, like we said. Meikra din it's mutter, but the Chachamim are goizer unless it belongs to him. Okay. These are important dinim. Omar Mar. We said if the two houses on either side of the Rishus HaRabim belong to him, it's permitted to throw from one to another. To the Rav. Let us say that this will be a kash on Rav. The Itmar. Shnei batim mishnei tzedi Rishus HaRabim. You have two houses on either side of Rishus HaRabim. Rav Arvun Amar Rav. Osir lizrok mizel zeh. So Rav says it's osir. Ushmol amar mutar lizrok mizel zeh. So the Omar Mar im hayr shalom mutar seems to be a tiyuftan Rav. And for the Gemara v'lavmi ukimne lahik god the midli chad umitati chad. One house is taller than the other. The zin enough of osir lasuyi. There we're concerned. You're not throwing it directly, and therefore the item will drop to Rishus HaRabim. Somebody will come and pick it up. And so it's a gzeira. That's why Rav says it would be osir. But if it would be an equal house, so there's not a risk of that happening, even Rav would say that it's mutter. Armele Rav Chisda Rav Amnuna. The Amrila, some say it's reversed, that it was Rav Amnuna said to Rav Chisda, where did the Chachamim get the principle called Pachas Mishlosha Kilavu Dami, that anything within 3 Tfachim of the ground, it's bottled to Rabim, or Melei Lefishi Yevshalo Lushas Rabbi Shetiloket B'Malket V'Hitni. A carpenter can take a planing implement and flatten and take out all the bumps and smooth out a piece of wood. You can't do that to the Rosh Hashanah. There's bumps, there's gumos. So anything within 3 tfachim is considered the Rosh Hashanah. So the Gemara says, Yachi Shlosha Nami. Okay, so then why the cutoff below 3? Why couldn't it be 3 as well? Soon, another problem. Hadisnan, we have a Mishnah in Sukkah. You're loading your boards for the sukkah from up towards down, and they don't reach all the way to the ground. I mean, if the walls are 3, if there's an airspace between the ground and the wall of 3 tfachim psula, hapachas mishloisha, if the ground to the end of the wall is less than 3 tfachim ksheva. So the same thing. Why should there be such a difference between 3 and less than 3? So what says? Because if you have it 3 tfachim airspace, a goat can come underneath it and come into your sukkah. Fine, that's an explanation. Tinech lamata, lamala ma'ik lamemar. But the same din applies when you build a sukkah, and this is the roof of your sukkah, and you have a wall. It's the same din lamala. That means as long as your board sidewall is within 3 tfachim of the schach, we say lavud that way as well. So gediyim boikim bo is not a reason for why you invoke lavud above. This is learned halach l'moshe m'Sinai. This concept of pachos mi-3 is a din, is a Masorah from Har Sinai. Torabonon. Rishus Harabim, Rishus Harabim, Rishus Hayachid be'emsa. We have Rishus Harabim. This is not like the case we had before, where we said we had Wilshire Boulevard, and we had a house on either side of Wilshire Boulevard, and we threw from one house across Rishus Harabim to the other house. Here's the opposite. You have Wilshire Boulevard and Olympic Boulevard. Let's say they're both Rishus Harabims, and you have a big Rishus Hayachid in between, and you throw from one Rishus Harabim to the other Rishus Harabim, derech the Rishus Hayachid. Rabbi says you're chayiv, and the chachamim are potter. Rabbi says it's chayiv only if the Rishus HaYachid has a roof to it. It's not like a courtyard which is without a roof. It's got to have a roof. And the thing that you throw from Wilshire Boulevard to Olympic has to go through the Rishus HaYachid and through a window, let's say, and that window of that Rishus HaYachid has a roof. Damrin and basic command demal yadom. Here we use another fictional concept that a house that has a roof is as if it's filled with things. And therefore, when you throw something through it, it's as if it landed there. So Rebbe, when he says he's machayev you for transferring from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hayachid. That's the chiyuv. Aval she'ena makura lo. But if it's not have a roof, and the item goes flying from the Rishus HaRabim through that courtyard, which is defined as a Rishus HaYachid, let's say the walls are 10 tefachim high and it encloses a space more than Daled al Daled, so that's a righteous Rishus HaYachid, and the item flies through it and lands on Olympic Boulevard, you wouldn't be chayiv anything. Because it's not Kemal Yadamia. You don't say Kluta here, L'chura. That's why everyone holds your potter. Rav Chanan Rav Yirmiyah Shmuel, Machayev haya Rebbe Shtayim. Achas mishum otzav, achas mishum achnasa. Meaning, when he threw it from Rishus HaRabim into the Rishus HaYachid and the ball is traveling, so that's called achnasa. And then when it leaves, right, your machnis from Rishus HaRabim into Rishus HaYachid. And then when it leaves, as that ball is flying, and it leaves the Rishus HaYachid to the other Rishus HaRabim, that's hotzah. So you're chayev for two acts, hotzah and achnasa. Yosef Rav Chana v'kakar shalei. Rav Chana had a problem. L'neimer de Machayev Rebbe atolda b'mokom av. So remember, we learned yesterday that from the Mishkan, they transferred items. No, we said that they brought items to Machna Levia, which was a Rishus HaRabim. So the index case in the Torah is going from people's tents, which is Rishus HaYachid, to Machna Levia, Rishus HaRabim, which is Hotzah. So we learned Hotzah is the Av, and Achnasa is the Tolda. Because there is no example of Achnasa. They didn't take from Machna Levia into their tent. It was reversed. So yesterday we learned that the Achnasa is considered a Tolda. Now we've learned many times that if I do two different Avos Malachos with the same period of forgetfulness, I'd be chayiv two chatos. But if I do an Av and a Tolda within the same species of Malacha, even if I did 5 toldas, I would only bring 1 chatas. So Achnasa is a tolda of Hotzah, which is in the same category. How could Rebbe Mechayev you too? You're being Mechayev for a tolda and an Av. And I'm going to prove to you, says the Gemara, that Rebbe doesn't hold that. Tanya, Rebbe Yoimer, there's a pasuk, I think it's in Vayakel. Ela dvar masher tziva Hashem la so. So devarim, it could have said elu hadavar. Devarim is plural. The minimum plural is 2. Once you have 2, it's more than 1. So that the minimum is 2. Then hadavarim, the hay, is another riboy, which is 3. Takes us from 2 to 3. Then it says Eila hadvarim. So it didn't have to say Eila. Eila is also superfluous. The gematria of Eila is 36. So that's 36 plus 3, which is 39. And that's Rebbe. So there's only 39. And that's a standard measurement. So he would hold that you would never be chayiv more than 39 if you forgot all 39. So therefore, if you did a tolda of a certain av, you wouldn't be chayiv an extra chatas for that. So how could Rebbe say that you were chayiv shtayim when you threw it out from the Rishus HaRabim through a window and the Rishus HaYachid and ends up outside on the other Olympic Boulevard? Omerle Rav Yosef, Mar Ahamastila, that he learns it differently. V'kashale the Rebbe ad Rebbe, You learned it that way and you have a problem with Rebbe. But Anana Rabbi Yehuda must need to v'lo kashalon. I didn't learn that it was Rebbe. I learned it was Rabbi Yehuda. And therefore I don't have a problem with Rebbe. The Tanya, so Rav Yosef quotes his Baraisa. It says, Meshusa Yachid Meshusa Rabim. If you transfer from Meshusa Yachid to Meshusa Rabim, the Ovar Arba Amis Meshusa Rabim, and in the process, for example, you threw something from your house to Wilshire Boulevard, and in its travels, it also traveled down Amis Meshusa Rabim. Rabbi Yehuda Mechayev v'Chachamim Poitrim. And we'll see why. And Amir Shmuel Mechayev Rabbi Yehuda Shtayim. When we say Rabbi Yehuda says Chayev, he's Chayev too. Achas Mishum Otzah, which because it went out from the Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim, that's Otzah. V'achas Mishum Avara Dalad Amos Rishus HaRabim. And it has to be that way. Because the Isa Gedait Chadahu de Mechayev, if you're going to tell me Rabbi Yehuda only is Chayev one, what do you mean? Michlal de Rabbanim Patri Legamri? When it says Chachamim Poitrim, how can Chachamim Pater? Ha'afek le Meshus HaYach L'Shus HaRabim. He threw the item from in his house to the Rishus HaRabim. He's certainly Chayev for that. So we're going to see the Chachamim say then, when it travels Dalad Amos, they have a reason why it shouldn't be Chayev. But one, it should be Chayev. So must be that they're arguing in the two. But when it says Mechayev and Chachamim Poitrim, which means it's only on the second aspect. So it's clearly Rabbi Yehuda is Mechayev Shtayim. And it's not Rebbe that's Mechayev Shtayim that you can ask me this question from Meilad Dvar, but rather it's Rabbi Yehuda that's Mechayev Shtayim. So the Gemara says, Mimai. Who says that this is correct the way you're analyzing? Maybe Rabbi Yehuda only has Chayev you one. And Rabbanon Patri Legamri. And in fact, the Rabbanon, there's no Chayev at all. How's that? Go. The Omar, let's say a person's in the house. When he throws the ball, he says, my intent is that ball, I don't want it to go further than the moment it hits the Rishus HaRabim 1 centimeter outside my door. So as it travels through the Rishus HaRabim, we use the principle of kluta to drop it to the ground. And there is Yavid Le Machshavto. So therefore, his thought came to fruition. He wanted to throw the item from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim. And therefore, you're chayiv. And then it traveled much further. And Velois Yavdi Le Machshavto. And the Machshava was not carried out. Like Rashi says, according to the first version of Rabbi Yosef Le Machshavto, it came to rest because of Kluta, Ilka Chayv Mishum Otzah. Ava Mishum Avar Lo Machayv, because he didn't want it to go any further. It came to rest and it continued moving. Mishum David told him, you wouldn't be Chayv another one. Aval told him, Lo Machayv Rabbi Yehuda. But it's not because we're talking about two different. He would not be mechayev the tolda b'makamav. The reason he's not chayev here is because it didn't fulfill his machshava. The Gemara says lo sakadaita. I don't accept the way you're learning. The Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda Moisif, af hashoiveit v'hamedagdeg. Rabbi Yehuda had a list of malachos more than 39. He added shoiveit, which was tightening the threads on the loom, of the warp and the woof, tightening it. V'hamedagdeg is straightening out the threads on the loom. These are independent malachos. Amru lo, the Chachamim said, what do you mean? Shoyvet harei b'chlal mesach. We already have mesach, which is tightening. And medagdek harei b'chlal orig. Medagdek is part of the weaving process. Now, my lab dav dinu l'tervai badi adodi. What must be going on here? He didn't do these two malachas at the same time. Ushmamina mechayev Rabbi Yehuda told him b'makam av. You see, Rabbi Yehuda does mechayev a tolda along with the av. Or says mimai dilma la'olam da Abdullah lahachuda v'alachuda. Maybe they didn't do. Each one was done at a separate time. Rabbi Yehuda told him b'makam av lo mechayev. Uva'akamifkin, they argued something else. Rabbi Yehuda savar hani avos ninu. These are avos. Rabbanan Savi, no, Hani told us ninu. And Tata that that's correct. The Tani. Rabbi Yehuda moisif. Rabbi Yehuda added, Iyamar bishma avois ma moisif moisif avois. He's adding avois that the Chacham don't agree with. Iyamar told us my moisif. So the Gemara accepts that. Itmer nami. Rav Yusuf Damar Tavayu, lo chiyav Rabbi Yehuda la'achas. That Rabbi Yehuda in this debate was only chayiv one, not two. Why did you make us change our mind? And you can't have it both ways. If he wants it to land 8, he can't have it stop. If he wants it to stop, it's not going to land 8. Because he used a very bland language. He said, wherever it's going to land, he's happy. Any malacha that object is going to do, he's happy with. So if it happened to travel out, went from his house to the outside, and then it traveled, dalad amis, he said, whatever the item does, I'm happy with. In that case, you'd be chayiv 2. If he didn't say that, you'd only be chayiv 1. Okay. Pshita, that niskavin lizrok shmona. A person has in mind, he wants to throw 8 amis in the Rishus HaRabbi. The Zorak Arba, and he only threw 4. So he's going to be chayiv. Harei kosav shem mishimo. We know that if you're going to write on Shabbos, the minimum shear is writing 2 letters. So let's say a person intended to write the name Shimon, but he wrote Shin Mem. Well, that's also a word, shame. So Shem Mishimon, he still did the minimal act to make you chayiv. So from there, the Gemara seems to be saying that if he was niskavin lizrok shmona and he threw 4, he would also be chayiv, because 4 is the minimum shir that gives you the chiyuv. Now niskavin lizrok arba v'zrok shmona mau. He wants to throw it 4. It ended up going 8. Listen, he threw 8, which is a minimum of 4. So he threw. It means he fulfilled the criteria. It's chayiv. O dilma, heiche de boy halonach. Where he wanted it to land, it didn't land. So maybe it's not considered malachas machsheves because it didn't fulfill what he wanted. V'lav hainu domerle ravinu ravashi v'omerle b'omer kol mokum shetir tzatanuach. That was what we said before. Perhaps the guy said, I don't care, wherever it lands, I'm happy. But that's not the same as writing Shem Shimon. You cannot write Shimon without writing Shem first. If it doesn't travel 4, it's not going to travel 8. But really, it's not the same because I can throw a unit of 8 or a unit of 4. If I can throw 8 and it's not considered as if I threw 4 because I threw 8. So Ton Rabbanon, you're throwing from Wilshire to Olympic, and there's a house in between, and it travels, and then it traveled Arba Amos B'Rishus Harabim, Chayiv. You could be mitzaref as well. Means if you started off in one Rishus Harabim and it traveled 2 Amos in this Rishus Harabim, and then it went through the Rishus HaYachid and it traveled another 2 Amos in the other Rishus Harabim, you add up 4, the Gemara seems to say that it's Chayiv. Pachos Marbam is Potter. But less, if it traveled less, even with its starfus, it would be Potter. Now, my kamashmalon, it seems to be a dover pashut. Hakamashmalon rishuyos mitzarfos. That you can be mitzaref the rishuyos. And the lormin and kluta. You notice we're not chayiv for transferring from Rishus Harabim to Rishus HaYachid. As the ball is traveling from the Rishus Harabim via the Rishus HaYachid, we don't invoke kluta to bring it down to the ground. So you're not chayiv for the aspect of hotzar achnasa. You're only chayiv for the hitzarfus of the transferring dal damas b'Rishus Harabim. Okay, some very fundamental principles that we learned today regarding havara achnasa, etc.